today we have a special space today. We are hosting Process Labs, a Web3 content creation tool builder, agency, and experimenter in the industry. Currently building on Ethereum, Polygon, Optimism, Arbitrum, Avalanche, and Solana, and has worked with over 4,000 founders, 7,000 projects, and facilitated the creation of 28 million NFTs across 96 countries. We have the privilege to discuss the project and the future of NFTs with the COO, Siles, also known as Callum. Welcome, Callum. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, thank you. Good afternoon, guys. Yeah, as I said, I'm Callum, aka Sills, one of the founders of Process Labs. I currently head up our marketing and business development and manage most of our internal and external projects.
Callum is.
Good afternoon. Yeah, thanks for joining us. First, let's get everyone like the space, share it out. Let's get some people in here. Like you said, we put the time wrong, so people might be confused on when this is beginning. So go ahead, share it out. Let's get some people in here because you've got a really, really interesting project here. I want to make sure a lot of people are in here listening to it and get the most from this space. So yeah, if you can, go ahead, share it out. Let's get this room filled up. And yeah, thanks for joining us today.
I just want to say a huge thank you to you guys, Rad and DB, as well, for giving me the opportunity to speak about our company and just for giving us the opportunity to share a bit more about what we're doing in the future and a bit of the past of Process Labs as well.
For sure, it's really cool. And Callum, as everyone can tell, is a fellow British person. Not many of us in the Web3 space, I find. So it's nice to hear.
Yeah, we won't hold that against you.
Yeah, exactly. And I just wanted to welcome Dave as well, DB, the co-host of this Twitter Space series. And how are you doing, man? How are you doing today?
Doing great. Eventful times in the space, and as it always is in crypto, and super eventful in the multiverse X space the past 12 to 24 hours. But hey, it is what it is. Keeps you on the edge of your seat and on your toes. But yeah, looking forward to this chat today with Process Labs, and it's Callum,
That's
right?
Correct, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I actually just discovered you guys, and so I'm glad you guys are here. Really interested in hearing more about you and the plans for the future.
Awesome.
Yeah, so just want to say again, please like and retweet, and this will be an open space later on, so people can come up and ask questions, put them in the comments if you want for now, or raise your hand later on. I also recognize Atto, haven't seen you for a long time. Welcome to the space. And I'm sure Sneck Overlord, I'm sure you're behind Process Labs there, so welcome as well. And I think if we get started, Callum, could you give us an overview of yourself, Process Labs, and how everything got started in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background's in finance, originally in accounting. During sort of university, I was heavily into marketing, started a few brands, sort of clothing, e-commerce, and as I sort of came out of university, I looked into, I started a marketing agency and sort of went down that route for a while. And basically, me and a few friends then got together during COVID, and we built a streaming platform for influencers. So this was a platform similar to sort of Patreon, OnlyFans. Creators would come on, be able to, live stream, charge for exclusive content. And but as you know, the streaming industry is highly competitive with the likes of Google, Amazon, Facebook, and so many more looking to take the top spot. It became such a tough industry to really make our mark in, especially with our sort of typical Web2 approach and the lack of a few $1 billion. So in 2021, we saw obviously with the rise of NFTs and realized how they could be used for mainly gating exclusive content in a much nicer and more collectible way than just paying for a credit card subscription. We saw it as an opportunity to help influencers really earn more revenue due to many problems like YouTube and Twitch terms of service, content strikes, typically low earnings just due to advertising during COVID as well. And we saw the utility and ownership side of the technology and the much more important aspect of how NFTs were being used. So we ended up completely pivoting from our streaming platform and started an agency, originally called the Diamond Hands Hotel. So our original idea was fairly straightforward: create NFT collections for influencers and launch their exclusive content on a new platform we built. However, a few months sort of down into the line and through a few talks with influencers, we realized that first of all, the community reaction to celebrity projects wasn't the greatest. Countless scams, inactivity from influencers just left a sour taste in people's mouth. And one of our primary objectives of starting this company was to really provide value to whoever bought our collectibles. And it was at this point we really decided to be a sort of utility first company, really focusing on that side rather than the sort of typical artwork side that many projects do focus on. So around this time, we created our own NFT project, SpaceNext. We learned so much. That learning curve from sort of September 2021 to January, February of 22, I can't even explain how much we learned along that way. Just the marketing in this industry is massively different. You can't run paid ads. For a start, the just sort of community building side of it, it was just a very different sort of space than we were used to. And like many sort of projects, when we first started out, there was typically only you could generate your collection using code-based tools. So things like Hashlips were the only solutions available. So at the time, you sort of needed, even to generate a typical NFT collection, you still needed a developer. You still needed knowledge of how to sort of construct the metadata and put the collection together. So we started seeing these sort of problems, obviously it being very code heavy and requiring basically a separate team if you wanted to launch an NFT collection. And the sort of main feedback that we had from our artist was, hey, like, guys, I've been messing with 300 layers in Photoshop for the past 2 days, and it's taking me ages just to figure out, what I need to do to change to my layers to make them work better, how I can sort of improve my whole process. So we designed a platform, very simple at first, just to allow people to stack their NFT layers. So you'd effectively upload all your artwork, see what your layers look like on top of each other, and then you could make adjustments and changes. And we didn't really think much of it. In fact, the tool was actually used just internally for our own collection. We generated our entire collection using our tool and a bit of code. And we shared it in our Discord one day, and people were just really interested, saying, this could be really useful for our project. How can we get access? So we ended up launching it, still very simple, and just offered a very streamlined approach to organizing artwork and keeping on track, keeping on top of sort of how your collection looks and that very first stage of the NFT collection creation process.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, the origin story is quite unique, I think, in the pivot, very early days. So I was actually there from the very beginning with Diamond Hands Hotel. I still have my snacks as well. I haven't sold any of them, which is really cool. And the utility that you guys put behind that was really cool. So I'll let you go into it a little bit more, but I think we can first go into what the NFT-Inator is. And just before you start explaining that, I have pinned up top just a few of the pictures from this tool, just to give you guys a sense of what it looks like, how easy it is to use, the user experience. It is a very beautiful tool, and just going through the whole process is very simple. At the end of it, there's a YouTube clip, which I recommend everyone to go and look at, because it just explains it beautifully. And I'd love it if you could go through a little bit of that now, Callum, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the tool, as I said, it started off really simple, but we saw demand increasing rapidly. We had a couple hundred projects use it initially just to test their layers, and they just wanted more. The next obvious step was generation. So what we wanted to do is allow not just at first the tool was basically you could only export single pieces of artwork, like one of ones, and single pieces of metadata as well. So we realized that we obviously needed an ability to create a full collection so that someone wouldn't have to then go use a generator again. And so it just expanded from there, really. We made a sort of simple step-by-step process so that you'd first create the one-of-one tokens and any custom tokens that you'd like. Then you could take it through and you could set up rules and various tags that allow you to change, what layers interact with others and generate up to 20,000 NFTs in one go. The tool was still fairly simple at this point, and the demand was again growing. People were then looking, what's the next step? How can I just use your tool to entirely launch my whole collection? So we ended up partnering with a company called Mintplex. They have some insane smart contract technology, and we use their modular smart contract system to enable creators to add any amount of utility to their own project. So when you run through NFT-Inator, you can select effectively whether you want to include a whitelist, whether you want to include unlockable content after, whether you want to gate access to a platform. And as I said, with our company being utility first, this was what was important. We saw countless collections coming through with sort of community-based projects, really looking into sort of merch and that community building side. Whereas we wanted, straight utility. This is what you get for coming on with our NFT. So, as I said, we created another tool called Verify, which effectively was a token gating system, which is now being integrated with NFT-Inator. So this would allow.
Can you just explain what token gating system is?
Yeah, so token gating is effectively a login system for NFTs. So the typical system that you use on every website that you're used to is just an email address. You get that sent to your, you get a code sent, and then you log in. Whereas token gating, what it would actually allow you to do is block off a user's login depending on the NFTs that they have in their wallet. So effectively, what I could do is let's say I wanted to create an e-commerce store, and I wanted to only allow Bored Ape holders to purchase the merchandise that I was selling. What I could then do is set up our Verify SDK and set it up so that only Bored Apes would even be able to enter the site. And this created a lot of buzz because for the first time, people on WordPress were able to gate their blog behind NFTs. People with their shops, as I just said, were able to gate it to certain holders. So it kicked off this sort of big merchandise push for holders only merch as well. So yeah, we spent a lot of time just building out utilities and making sure that not only could our projects succeed from launching on NFT-Inator, but they actually had a long-term focus in the utility that they were providing as well.
I gotta say, I watched the YouTube video and I was blown away with what I saw. The tool seems so simple and so just it made me want to go create a project almost. But do you know, are there any competitors or any similar tools like it in the space?
Yes, so our main competitor is Bueno at the moment. They have a great platform, can't fault them at all. They've got a couple features that we don't have. We have a couple features that they don't have. But I think as you mentioned, NFT-Inator is a very clean platform. We spent countless months, redoing the UI, making sure that flow from uploading your artwork to launching a smart contract was as smooth as possible. And not only that, obviously, when you're creating your NFT collection, you're wanting to change things. Your layer might not be correct, or you may want to update some other piece of artwork. So we wanted an iterative process where people could go back and say, okay, I've generated my collection, I'm not happy with it, let me go add one of ones, let me go, put basically reform my collection. And where we really sort of differentiate with Bueno is the pricing. They charge per token. And well, first of all, NFT-Inator is completely free. You can launch a complete NFT collection with NFT-Inator for no cost. We do have a pro version which allows faster token exports and various other features that I can link after this spaces. But the key difference was price. Bueno, to generate 10,000 pieces, you're looking at about 1,500, close to 1 ETH to generate 10,000 pieces. NFT-Inator has a pro version for $400. You can generate a full project, edit it as much as you want, and it's basically $400 to launch your collection. That's it. So we differentiate ourselves by being 4 times cheaper and offering these sort of extra utilities after the collection launch as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on there because that was something that I didn't actually say in the first place. This is a tool that you guys can go to right now and you can just play around. You can do whatever you want. There's no commitment. You just have to put your email address in pretty much. And then you can just play around with what you want and you can even launch it without any fees. The fees come in the royalties afterwards, if I'm correct in saying that, Callum.
Not in royalties. We take 2% off all contracts launched. Just to give you a comparison as well, Bueno and our nearest competitors take 5%.
Okay, yeah. So it's like, I mean, first off, you can just go around and play around with it for free. Like, that's completely good. And I recommend anyone that's interested in that kind of thing to do that. But I'll leave it with Dave for his next question as well.
Yeah, no, excellent. That's very clear, and the pricing structure and the tool, like you mentioned, it's so user friendly. It looks like anyone could create a collection, and obviously the art has to be done, but once you have that and it's all set up, just putting it all together seems so simple. So I love that. And so question I had is, currently you're just on EVM compatible chains, correct? Those are what, remind me of the ones that you're compatible with.
So we're on Ethereum, Polygon, Optimism, Arbitrum, and Avalanche.
Got it. Okay.
And we
So,
do Solana metadata and collection generation, but you can't launch a smart contract on Solana currently.
got it. So that sounds like that's part of the plan, though.
It's not in the roadmap at the moment, just because Metaplex, Solana's sort of provide a very easy system to launch your collection. So you can basically use NFT-Inator completely for free if you want to launch a Solana collection. Take your metadata and artwork over to Metaplex and launch it with no code as well. So it's not incredibly difficult.
Got it. Okay. And so, being a big Multiverse X supporter, is that a chain that you guys have looked into or considered? Because I could definitely see this being a tool that would be that would go over very well on that chain for sure.
It's not a chain that we've necessarily looked into at the moment. We've been focusing on mainly EVM chains just to keep everything simple. However, we're more going towards what the demand is asking for. So if we had people from people wanting to launch and a good significant demand for launch on Multiverse, it's something we'd definitely consider. It's just obviously from a financial point, from a business standpoint, we need to make sure that it's there is enough customers that are willing to use it in that chain, and we'd be more than happy to look at a solution for it.
Got it. Yeah, that makes total sense. So what would you say, what are your next steps for the project?
Right. So at the moment, what as far as it goes is you launch your smart contract and you have our entire contract dashboard to manage your collection in. So on here you can do things like pause the mint, airdrop tokens to people, all in a UI that makes it super simple. What we currently do is we allow, for actually minting the NFTs, we allow a mint button embed. So someone would copy the code from our platform, create a typical WordPress website or any other page builder, copy the embed code in, and they could mint. This is a bit of a disconnect. So actually, next Monday we're launching a new feature called Mint Pages, and effectively this is a Process Labs hosted mint page that any one of your if you create a collection, any one of your buyers can just go straight to. You can set it all up in the platform. Don't need to go to an external website creator, and you can self. You don't need to go to an external website creator, and it's a self-hosted solution. So it basically provides a much easier way of users going on and minting your NFTs. Where we're now expanding this afterwards is creating a full launch pad. So not only will people be able to go and be able to mint single NFTs, they'll be able to explore entire NFT collections on the platform, vote on which ones are best, and eventually we're going to turn it into a full marketplace as well. In terms of actual utility, what we want to do compared to our competitors is offer even more. So what we're looking at doing next is offering a staking system, ERC20 token creation. So you'll be able to effectively set up your token, custom functions in your token, and then launch a staking platform, all included on your mint page as well. So that's our next steps immediately for NFT-Inator. But I've got more going on internally for the company that I'd love to explain to you about as well.
That's really cool. And that's something that I think is needed more and more, especially because the Web3 space is very difficult, as everyone knows, to build on. I mean, a lot of projects struggle for months. They pay massive fees for all of these devs and so on to build these things. And creating such simple and very good looking tools, I think, is amazing. And I just love to see what else you guys come up with in the future. I was wondering for the moment also, because it used to be called Diamond Hands Hotel. I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit on the rebrand and what effect that's had for the company as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started off as Diamond Hands Hotel with this sort of brand idea that influencers would have a a virtual room in the hotel where they could hang out, and that was just the sort of the way the way we wanted the brand to look. So as we started moving away from celebrity drops, and it didn't really become the focus, our brand just became less clear. We were creating tools. We are creating solutions for like bespoke solutions for larger clients. So we didn't really have anything in our company that made the Diamond Hands name make sense. So due to basically all these tools, we realized, okay, we need to rebrand, but what name do we pick, and how do we go about it? So we we had a team call with a few of us, and basically just decided that everyone in the industry was saying trust the process, trust the process. We were a firm believer in, obviously there's a lot of startups in the industry, and everyone needs to sort of stick by them and see what they produce. So we just had a random idea to go for process labs, as in trust the process. And we sat on this name for 9 months, and we tried to come up with new names to beat it, and nothing really hit our fancy as much. And we decided that we could just make such an awesome brand with this name. So we, yeah, as I said, we learned a lot from branding, and it's going to be the entire future of your company. So a little tip that I can give for branding is when you get a name, sit on it, make sure that it feels right. You may feel like it's right on the first day that you get it, but a week later you might have doubts, and if you've already launched it, it's not the greatest feeling. So what we then did is come up with this cool story about being a secret agency in the desert. Um, and we crafted a mission statement that really really exemplified what we wanted to do in the industry, which is we believe in empowering visionaries and developing innovative solutions that make Web3 more accessible. And obviously, with the launch of NFT-Inator, that made perfect sense.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I think it's a very professional looking name, Process Labs, and you guys are very much going for the agency look now rather than trying to build like an individual community. You're building other people's and you're giving advice and making tools, which is really cool to see. I was wondering, part of like the things that you guys offer, you offer the mint page coming out on Monday, you said. You offer some consultation with branding, marketing, e-commerce, and all that kind of stuff. I was wondering how many projects connect with you on that and what their response has been for that.
So we typically work with projects with a long-term goal. We don't really tend to work on projects that are sort of typical profile picture collections, more just because our developers personally like to sort of go into the lower level side, and learn a little bit more about the possibilities of smart contracts as well. So just to give you an example, a project that we're working on at the moment, we're working with a major bank for a KYC solution. So this uses Soulbound NFTs, which are NFTs that you can't send away from your wallet. They are basically soulbound to your wallet. And the solution involves encrypting your data. Encrypting your data and giving access to various marketplaces that will need your KYC information in the future. And effectively, instead of uploading your KYC, as you may have done with Binance, Coinbase, all you would do is collect your wallet. It would find the NFT in your wallet and immediately share that KYC data with a marketplace. So that whole process of KYC, you'll only do once with the bank, and then it can be applied to thousands of different marketplaces. And it's this sort of technology that we're really excited to be working on.
Soulbound NFTs are really interesting, I find. Do you think that that's going to be changing the way people see NFTs in the future? And that's going to be almost the majority use of NFTs around the world?
I wouldn't necessarily say majority use. I've always said that I feel like art is the way in for the technology side of NFTs. It's not the I don't think artwork is going to be the main use. Obviously, digital ownership's important, but as I said, the solutions with sort of KYC, with event ticketing, with making sure that your ticket or your digital item is legitimate is a massive industry that's being explored now, obviously, but it's still very early days.
Yeah, for sure. That we have no idea what's going to come, but I'm pretty convinced that the majority of the world, or at least the technology side of the world, is going to be using NFTs or some form of them on a daily basis within probably a decade or so. You mentioned the ownership, so I wanted to dive into something that I've looked at and kind of not debated, but had discussions around a lot.
Yeah.
Around NFT true ownership. And what I mean by that is how certain blockchains offer native tokens that are NFTs, such as Cardano does and Algorand does, Multiverse X does as well. And versus a lot of the Ethereum, the EVM compatible chains, where basically your NFT is just data in a smart contract.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel that that's going to have any implications or anything in the future?
I'm not entirely sure on that. I think every chain will have its own approach, and obviously there'll be a fair amount of new chains with new approaches. But I don't necessarily think that affects anything from a technical standpoint. I just think it's a different method of sort of operating.
Well, I guess not from a technical standpoint, but more from a regulatory or actual ownership standpoint. For once the big industries and even governments start getting involved in NFTs and soulbound tokens and all that, do you think that having them as native tokens may be a hinder things or help things?
I personally feel like as long as whatever system is being used to verify can't be attacked or it isn't vulnerable, I think it ultimately doesn't matter as long as that digital ownership can be proven. But a native token, it does sound like the better solution moving forward. But I guess time will sort of tell on whether on sort of which technique will be, the main moving forward.
For sure. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that, since you are active and involved in so many of the EVM chains and see that side of it. So, and typically we're talking to the other side of it that is more around the native token side. So I just wanted to see where your head was at around there. And I also know that talking to a lot of non-tech people on that side of the ecosystem, a lot of people don't even know that that's how things work, and that's a large part of the reason for hacks and issues, because again, it's just data in a smart contract. So you interact with an NFT or a token, and since you're basically interacting with a smart contract, you then have the risk of turning over control of your wallet or whatever it may be. So yeah, I appreciate your answer to that and outlook.
Absolutely.
What do you got, Rad?
Yeah, I was just well, so many questions, honestly. I just think it's such an interesting topic. There's so much to talk about. I think I'll take this for a second just to say, for everyone in the audience, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. We'll get to them later. Or you can raise your hand in a little bit. We'll start opening up more to a more open discussion. And please like and retweet this space so that we can get this out here, because this is some really cool topics that we're going through. One question I actually had, Callum, because you mentioned you're working with a bank right now, is are more traditional companies, are they still very scared of working in Web3, or are they quite excited about the opportunity?
Generally excited, but it's a long conversation to come up with a solution that works for each. A big part of our business is obviously converting Web2 companies and giving them sort of Web3 capabilities. But they generally are excited, but they're cautious. They want to make sure that whatever solution comes forward is, doesn't have any vulnerabilities, is tried and tested. So it's more a case of time. I think everyone's interested in getting in the industry to a point. It's just making sure that they enter once and they do it correctly. And sort of things is abstracting actual NFTs away. So when a lot of sort of typical users hear the word NFT or crypto, it goes to scam. Whereas wording it in terms of sort of collectible, or having it that someone actually has like a custody wallet where, you know, your app doesn't actually show you that you're using NFTs, doesn't show you that you're using crypto, but the way it operates is the blockchain underlying. But you know, you may just have a typical UI. For example, having some sort of event tickets, you may have a wallet on your phone as an app, and it may just be a list of your tickets. You don't need to know that there's anything to do with NFTs or the blockchain. You just use it as a standard user, scan your QR code, and move on. However, it's a much more secure solution. So a lot of Web2 businesses are sort of looking at how they can abstract away that typical sort of NFT or crypto terminology to use the underlying technology in a way that's, you know, highly beneficial to their customers.
Yeah, that's very important. I was wondering if you had to name like the most important thing to them, what would that be? Would it be liquidity, security, easeability of use?
Security, without a doubt. As you know, obviously, a smart contract is permanent, and even if you're good for 5 years down the line, and then your contract gets hacked or there's a vulnerability, you are effectively screwed. So making sure that they launch once and launch correctly is just the priority. Everything else is just sort of a bonus.
That's really cool. Yeah. I wanted to just talk about a little bit on what your thoughts on the AI wave for the industry is going to be as well.
Very, very interesting, actually. Yeah. So I've used Midjourney and ChatGPT extensively. I still use them day to day. One of the main things I think that AI is great for is conceptualizing ideas. So if you want just, you know, it stops writer's block because you can have an idea on paper that you can improve. So if I want some copy for a landing page, I can ask ChatGPT to create it, and then I can go in and edit it, or I can, you know, have someone change it up and sort of make it. But the way I see AI is it's not ready for production, but it's a very, very good tool to be able to just get some ideas on paper and start. So for example, our previous process with art, so if we have a client that was looking to create art, we would typically take a concept in Photoshop that one of our designers would create, take it to sort of a 3D artist and have them come up with some concepts, feed our concepts back to the client, and then have them go from there. Now what we can do is basically skip that entire first step. We can use AI to come up with some concepts, show the client the direction that we're looking to go in, take the concept straight to an artist or designer, and then have them produce the final production in 3D or drawn. So it's just sped up a lot of our sort of internal processes. And I think one of the most important things for companies this year is figuring out how they can use AI to improve their internal processes.
And are you guys trying to integrate this in some of your tools like NFT-Inator and stuff like this? I don't know, or maybe new tools that are coming out as well.
It's funny you do mention that, actually, because it's in our roadmap. It's just not something we've pushed hard on at the moment. But what we would ideally like to have is you come to NFT-Inator with no artwork at all. You type in a prompt for your collection, and you can just generate 1,000 tokens that all have a similar sort of look and appearance, and launch your collection immediately as well. We've taken a lot of thought into this, and it, as I said, it is on the roadmap. It's just other priorities such as our mint pages and just sort of improving the general user experience and utility of NFT-Inator have been our priority at the moment. But AI is something that is, I mean, definitely going to be integrated in NFT-Inator in the near future.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And yeah, I think that's going to, I mean, you were already saying how you guys are using it to speed up the process and just refine things a lot quicker. And with what you were talking about with NFT-Inator, that just sounds like something that would go viral and everyone would love that in NFTs. One thing because the reason I was bringing up the AI wave is obviously it's had massive effects, media's all over it and everything, but also Snakespeare, because you guys do a blog as well, which most people here probably don't know. and it's a really good blog. I recommend people to have a look at it. Just concise content on different things in Web3. And Snakespeare, who is the other co-founder and the dev, if I'm correct in that, Callum.
Yep,
Yeah, he's the one doing the articles, and he's very much into the AI. And I'm pretty sure all of the images for the blog are AI generated. So I was just thinking,
Good catch.
I was just thinking how much you guys are considering it, and how it will change the whole industry in people that build tools for NFTs and stuff like this.
I mean, I think there's very specific use cases for AI as well. Like, I'm seeing a lot of YouTubers use them for thumbnails. Blog thumbnails are something that's pretty hard to do, because with a blog thumbnail, you either are creating a graphic from scratch, very time consuming, or you're finding an image on Envato or on a sort of free commercial licensed pic site, and the quality of those sort of images is just terrible. So I think in terms of just like a shock reaction or getting interest, AI can be very good for sort of thumbnails and that thing and that sort of area as well.
Yeah, that's really cool, and that's an area that you guys help if people need help in that as well with NFT collections.
Absolutely, yeah. As I said, we don't typically use AI in production. I think the only place we've used AI in production is for blog covers, and we use ChatGPT throughout just to help us. It's just an assistant basically. It's never going to be used as you write something in ChatGPT and then you use it. It's always something that's going to be refined and improved upon before it then hits production.
Cool. Well, I just wanted to now ask, and just for anyone else in the audience, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments or raise your hand in a few minutes, because then we'll start opening it up. I just wanted to ask what cool projects you've been working with, and upcoming things with the whole brand.
A fair few of our projects are under wraps at the moment, so I can't really give specific details too much. We are working with the types of industries we're working in is cannabis, so distribution of cannabis for growing manufacture as well, banking for KYC, and we work with a fair few sort of trading and analytics platforms that use NFTs as membership or sort of token gating for allowance into their platform as well. So they're typically where we work. The other major industry that we're in at the moment is alcohol. So in areas like wine provenance, making sure that limited edition bottles of very expensive champagne and vodka and spirits are legitimate as well. So we've got some sort of unique and cool technology that helps that. So yeah, we are working in a fair few areas, but not necessarily projects I can straight up share with you now.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I understand that completely. And the first industry that you mentioned was the perfect one to mention, because we have Chess Ucation down here, who's listening, co-founder of On-Chain Smokers in Multiverse X ecosystem, and they work on a membership program for people that smoke and go to clubs and stuff in both in the Netherlands and Spain, and coming to New York as well, I think as well. So that's a really cool space, which I think it's really great to see NFTs coming in with that as well, and the real life use cases for this, because I think NFTs are really going to become mass adopted when they are real life use cases, and people need them for day-to-day kind of things as well. And I just wanted to, I don't know if you wanted to comment on any of that, Callum, or Dave, if you had any comments.
No, I love what I'm hearing, and I think this is it's a very cool project. I love that you're really looking at the big picture, trying to encompass everything with even bringing the KYC into it, and then the talks about AI and how you can basically it's going to be a one-stop shop, and even with the KYC possibly protecting investors. So congrats on what you've created so far, and your future plans, and definitely looking to follow you guys and see more. Where is the best place that people can go to learn more about NFT-Inator and Process Labs?
So our Discord has all the links that you need, all of our information channels as well should give you a good idea of everything, and then obviously our Twitter, we're we're very active on as well. Or just send me or the Process Labs page a DM, and just feel free to ask us any questions, any help that you need in the NFT industry, any help that you need with your collections. Just shoot us a DM. We're always happy to help. And yeah, but there is something else I'd like to share with you guys as well. We love in this space the enjoyable projects, like Wolf Game, the projects that come with, it's not necessarily just about earning money or it's not just about earning money and that side. It's more about collecting and enjoying your time in the industry. And so what we wanted to do is start creating internal projects launched for free that just provide some, it allows us to show off our smart contract tech, our developers want to go a bit wild, and really sort of push the boundaries of what we're working on internally. So we're creating a category in our company called Experiments, and these will be free interactive NFT experiences ranging from strategy games to innovative utilities, dynamic traits, interactive online experiences. And they basically provide us with an opportunity to explore uncharted territory and really flex out artists as well, because we want to create sort of an art-focused drop. So each experiment is designed to be a unique experience that uses new NFT mechanics at the forefront of our smart contract technology. You can compete in challenges against other members that affect your tokens, collect unique and rare NFTs, and to be honest, just have an amusing time along the way. Participating is completely free, and each experiment has a very limited supply, so once it begins, latecomers won't be able to join. Experiments last from anywhere from a day to a year, and each is very different. You could be waiting a while if you miss out on the first one. So the first experiment that we're launching is called Relics. If you head to our Process Labs Twitter, you'll see the pinned tweet is a post just before the spaces with our whitelist for Relics. So feel free to go over to our page and sign up for our whitelist for that project. We'll be picking 50 people that will effectively be locked in for the next 6 months and be on this journey with us. So what Relics is a multi-stage gamified NFT experience. Each choice you make along the way with your relic carves your destiny, and each victory in the challenges that you do reveals a new relic. It all starts with a pre-reveal token, and you basically decide along the way things like whether you'll burn it, whether you'll combine it with other relics to earn the next relic. And it's a basically big competition between everyone, and to be honest, just a load of fun and a way to collect some unique artwork and learn about the lore in our company.
That is really cool, and I pinned that up in the space as well for anyone that wants to look at that real quick. That's really cool. Do you guys have a community that's already getting involved in that, or are you looking to spread out across different communities as well?
So we're definitely looking to spread out across different communities. At the moment, our community is sort of very focused on NFT-Inator. A lot of our community members are founders of projects. So we're sort of trying to now appeal more to the mainstream audience, get people in that just want to have a bit of fun in the space. They don't necessarily want to, sit and wait and stress about collecting NFTs. They just want something enjoyable that they can come on and do something once a week and actually, progress and have a good time with people. So that was sort of our thought pattern with experiments.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I love the gamification of that, and also the change adaptability of it as well. That's really cool. I think people will really enjoy that. I'd love to join in with that, so I'll definitely be signing up. And yeah, that's really cool.
Awesome.
Dave, did you have any comments for that?
No, any comments or questions from the audience? Go ahead, toss them in the chat, or raise your hand if you want to come on up. But no, I love what I'm hearing, and like I said, I'm looking forward to diving more into what you guys got coming.
Yeah, and whilst we wait for anyone to raise their hand or put comments in the comment section for any questions, Callum, I just wanted to ask a little question about utility, because that's a big thing in NFTs these days. What is utility, and different utility use cases for different projects? What do you guys see as utility in the NFT space?
I see utility as anything other than your artwork, I guess. So anything other than your token I see as utility. Community is definitely a utility. Time and time again, many big projects have survived off utility, merchandise, and just creating a really cool brand. And I think that's great. And there's definitely a space in the industry for it massively. And those projects have some of the nicest communities as well. In terms of sort of longer term project survival, I guess, I think royalties are a very interesting topic. The whole push to remove royalties, I think, has caused many issues just in terms of the longevity of projects. I think even before royalties were removed, there was a lot of sort of difficulty, say 6 months to a year down the line, when secondary sales start drying up for some projects, and it really sort of affected the funding and the ongoing success of the project. So I think projects need a utility effectively to create revenue, right? So we took a very different approach that a lot of NFT companies usually do. So usually they take they launch a mint, earn a ton of money, and then keep the company afloat and build out utility afterwards. We took the other approach to improve our longevity and increase our survival, which is create a tool that earns money separately and actually create a Web2 revenue before we start expanding too much into the Web3 side. So so now, instead of stressing every month about, oh, is secondary sales going to dry up? Do we need to launch a new collection? It's like, no, we have a nice revenue stream. Now we can focus on really building out the Web3 side and really allowing people to enjoy what we're doing, basically, and work with clients without stressing about the company ending.
I think that's very important, and I love that take. I just want to give the stage to Chess, who is the co-founder of On-Chain Smokers, a Web3 membership program for the cannabis industry. Welcome, Chess. What's your question?
Thank you. I have no questions about the cannabis industry. I'm tired of it. But I do have a question about the AI part. The ability to create AI collections might seem pretty interesting, and it probably will get some attention and all of that. I would just like my question, my worry with that whole thing is like, if anybody can one click create these creations, like, does that really help the NFT space, the art space in general, in the long term? Is it not just a gimmick that then you just kind of like enable anyone to jump on the site, make something in not even an hour anymore, but a few minutes, sell it, take money from people who could spend it elsewhere? Is that a concern that you kind of have thought about, that is addressed in some way? For example, making, I don't know, a utility requirement or something of the sort. Just curious about your thoughts, like how enabling something like that with such ease will affect the NFT space and probably even its credibility as art, at least.
So I think you have in this space, you have a couple of different types of collections. You have ones that are obviously art and community focused, where you're right. I mean, if you just had an AI collection that you could draw up in a minute, there's not really too much value behind it, and it's not, it's not very interesting, and I can't imagine them getting much traction. However, if your purpose of your collection isn't necessarily about artwork, but you more need a visual representation of your utility or of what you're creating, then the artwork becomes less important. Oh, sorry. The artwork becomes less important in my mind. So I think massively it just depends on your intentions with the collection. Obviously, if you're one-click creating a collection with AI, going around and telling everyone that your artist created it, then that's obviously a no-go. But if you were providing a token gating platform that you just wanted users to be able to quickly use an NFT to jump on, and you used AI to create, sort of like a credit card type pass, I don't really see any problem with that, because you're not selling the artwork, you're selling the service that comes with the artwork.
Cool. Thank you. I gotta jump off to space, but thanks and congrats on what you're building there. Sounds really cool.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming up, Chess. And thank you for the question. Thank you, Callum, for answering that. I think that was a good answer. If anyone else has any questions, please come on up. or if you don't want to speak, just put them in the comment section. We can get to them. Otherwise, we'll be closing the space in a few minutes. I think. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about, Callum?
Just have a think.
You went through.
I'd like to ask as a general question to the audience what you want from the NFT industry. What keeps you engaged? What makes you want to mint a project? That's what we want to know for our experiments, for what we're doing, is what really draws you to a project.
I think that's a good question. I'll let Dave answer that real quick, and then I'll answer after, and anyone else can answer if they want to as well, because Dave has done threads on these kind of topics as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great question too. And like he was pointing to, I've done threads on what I look for, and I'll say it usually starts with the team and communication. And that's why I like that you guys are going to be looking to add in the KYC aspect, so people can know who they're going to be working with, because I do feel that that's a large part of it. And honestly, I don't even necessarily think people need to be doxxed completely, but I do need to see some transparency on who they are in the space, and maybe what they've done before, or just their level of planning, their level of communication. And I'd say for me, it starts with the team, and because you can't really do much without a solid foundation, which comes from the team. And I know a lot of people point to roadmaps and utilities and gaming or whatever, but again, I still think that falls back on the team and what they're capable of and what their vision is. And I will add on to that I steer clear of projects that use a lot of buzzwords.
Yeah.
And a metaverse is probably the biggest one. And if your project is going to tell me you're going to build a metaverse, I usually run away, because I think most people don't have any clue how expensive or what goes into creating a true metaverse, and even a game, a playable game that is maybe just not a card game or a typical tabletop game. If you're talking about an actual game, yeah, good luck with that. It's probably not a project I'm going to be looking into.
Yeah. So for you, it's not being too far-reaching.
For sure, yeah. It starts with the team being clear on their expectations, roadmap, what they're looking to do, and yeah, not just having realistic expectations. Again, if the team comes out and says they're going to build a metaverse and a AAA game, well, you better be doing a 10,000 collection that's 2 ETH per mint or something, because that's the only way you're going to make it happen.
Do you see NFTs as a typical investment where you look into the financial side of the company and actually figure out, am I going to make a return on this, or is it more, towards just the team and the overall outlook of what the project's doing?
That's a great question, and I'd say both, because I've invested in projects just for the pure art side of it, and the founder who is creating it, who's leading it, and what they're, and not even utility. So I guess to answer that question, yes and no. I don't know if that even answers your question, but it's, I invest in people, and I like if you have a clear message and vision for what you're doing, and I like it or yourself, I will probably invest. And that could pertain to just someone coming out and saying, this project is solely art. We are not going to do with anything with it after mint. You're not going to get this, or airdrops or whatever. I like transparency and clear communication. So as long as I see something like that, and I like what I'm seeing, the art or the person, I have no problem investing as well.
Yeah, completely agree.
I'll just add as well, because I've always seen the NFT space as mostly just startups, really, and everyone tries to think of it. Oh no, it's just JPEGs trading around. But at the end of the day, I mean, you look at any of the NFT, well, most NFT projects, DGods, all of these ones, these are businesses that run revenue, and they need to have obviously a strong team, as Dave was saying, and a very well managed team that can actually are capable of doing the goals that they set. But they also need to have some kind of revenue stream which can keep the business going.
Yeah.
I mean, there is investing in art, and I don't typically do that because I don't personally understand art. So I don't really invest in things that I don't understand. But in the NFT space, I normally invest as if it's a startup company. And I consider how they manage that, how they plan to bring revenue, like you guys have done. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was very interested in your project, because you guys were actually looking for ways to bring in Web2 revenue and then also have the Web3 engagement and the excitement, which I really liked that. And then the tools you guys came out with were just amazing, and I just loved the project from there. But that's what I would say mainly, because I think too many people see it as just JPEGs being traded. And yes, some of the time it is that, and there is a lot of degen and derivatives and stuff going around. But at the end of the day, they are mostly businesses. And if you want a long-term investment, you need a sustainable strategy.
Absolutely, yeah. And to be honest, secondary sales just don't quite cut it.
Yeah, no way. Especially with the way royalties are at the moment. I mean, royalties are literally going to zero, and a lot of founders are struggling with that. I found a lot of founders are actually doing some very cool stuff by only allowing the NFTs that paid royalties to access rewards or access
Yeah.
things in their thing, and I really like that idea, and I think that's a good way around it. The only other way really would be banning the marketplaces, but I don't think that's a very good solution, really.
I mean, in my personal opinion, the push to remove royalties is probably one of the biggest hits this space has had. I mean, in my mind, other than the digital ownership side, the main function of NFTs is to always provide that original creator with a kickback on their work. And I think it's maybe slightly abused during generative collections, but when you have sort of a one of one piece or an artist, putting out their sort of life's work, that secondary revenue massively helps them, and it's a source of going, okay, this person likes my artwork, now the next person likes my artwork, but I'm still receiving some benefit from it. So yeah, I think royalties are a massively important part of the industry, and I do actually think that it was the wrong decision to push to 0%.
Yeah, it's a really, I mean, because I kind of see both sides in some ways, just because I agree completely that they deserve the royalties, especially if it's long term people that are involved in it. But a lot of the time, a lot of the state the NFT space is in, it's mostly traders really, and these traders want to make money, and a lot of the time, not in Multiverse X, but in the ones with more liquidity like Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, they do multiple trades a day, and they just try and make as much money as they can from that. And it is a little bit difficult for a trader to take a 7 5 10% hit straight off the bat. Another thing, actually, because we had a discussion about this in one of our spaces, and I recommend anyone to look at that, because I thought that was a pretty interesting discussion, because I very much had the same viewpoint as you at the start, and then I started to see a little bit of the other side. And one thing we also discussed was flipping the side of the royalty. So the royalty not being on the seller, but on the buyer. Because if you're buying into an ecosystem, then shouldn't you be the one paying the royalty rather than someone who's selling out of the ecosystem?
Yeah, I think that's a great argument. Very interesting conversation to have as well.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's a difficult one. I think there's definitely reasons for both sides. I think a marketplace either choosing to enforce or choosing not to enforce may not be the correct decision, and there may need to be, a split of both options depending on, I don't know, the utility or the specification of the NFT. So it is a tough argument. As I said, I feel like one of one artists should definitely get a good kickback for their work always. generative collections, I feel like maybe we just need smarter controls on how much revenue is how much commission is taken, and as you said, sort of how that founder implements that, whether they've paid royalties into their utility as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I actually do agree completely with the artist side. If people are real artists, they're making their living off of the art they're selling. They're not actually creating businesses. They're just selling the art that they're putting in a digital form. Then I think that they should be getting the royalties for that, especially because people buying their art either think it's a good investment or they like the art. And therefore, I think they should be paying the royalty to the creator for sure. But the 10K generative collections, I think, it's a little bit more complex.
And the way I see the way I see 10K generative collections is you are usually buying in for a utility. The utility is generally a revenue stream for that company, so them having another revenue stream in royalties doesn't make the most sense unless they are, a community-based project or something, or artwork-based as well.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a very interesting topic. And I mean, we're very happy to talk about this all and every other topic as well, because there's so many interesting things to discuss. And you guys are obviously very much into it. You're talking to thousands of founders and projects. So you've got a lot of insight, which we would love to hear with some of our other spaces as well when we talk about these topics. So we'd love to have you back on some of them as well. And I think we can start wrapping up now. So if anyone has any last comments, put them in the comment section or just ask afterwards. I'm sure the team will be very happy to discuss that. I'll just let both Dave and Callum give last thoughts, and then I can wrap up the space. So let's start with you, Callum.
Yeah, guys, we've obviously been through 18 months of ups and downs, and it's been a very interesting ride. As I said at the very start, we've learned a ton of stuff about the industry, and we're just really excited to sort of keep pushing. And as I said, our main focus going forward is these internal projects where we're sort of really flaunting our smart contract tech and showing what we can do as an agency. And I hope as many of you can get involved in that project as possible.
Awesome.
And I'd just like to thank both of you guys as well for giving me the opportunity to speak. It's been awesome, really great questions, and it's been a good conversation.
Yeah, it definitely has. And I want to thank you for coming on and telling us about your project. It's a very interesting one. You guys got something that's very needed in this space and a great roadmap and vision around what you're doing. So thanks for coming on and telling us all about it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so this has been a great conversation, a lot to go through, and you guys are really building some really cool stuff. And I just want to say again, the first tweet that's been pinned up above, please look at that just to see the user experience, and then please go look at the video of the demo and just try it out yourself as well, because it's really cool. And it's something that this space needs more of. We need more things that can make it simpler to build on Web3. If you really want people to come to Web3, it needs to be as simple as possible, if not more simple than Web2. That's the real way you get more and more people. And Process Labs, as Callum was saying, they've got the Relics coming out, which is an experimenting collection. I look forward to signing up for that because that sounds really cool to me. And I just want to thank Callum and everyone from Process Labs, Snack Overlord, and Snake Spear for all that you guys are doing. Thank you for joining us today. And it's been a great conversation. We'd love to have you guys on again in the future, maybe during the Relics experimentation as well. That would be really cool. And I just want to finally say thank you, everyone in the audience, and anyone for listening in the recording. Also, a final apology for messing up the time of the space. I think a lot of people were going to be coming, and they're coming for tomorrow. So they may have missed this one, but hopefully they can just listen to the recording. Timestamps will be coming out soon. And this has been xSpaces. We do this twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, 4 p.m. UTC. And it's just talking about the cool topics of Web3, NFTs, the projects that are building, and a great project like yours, Callum. So thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having us. Have a great day, guys.
Have a great day to you too.